you will see beside me that I have a mountain of tea. And the long story short of this, John, is that I'm currently having a new cooker installed into my kitchen, and therefore I've had to remove everything out of my kitchen. So were I to pan around my room, you would just see chaos.
Do you really need 14 packs of different flavoured tea?
I only drink Red Bush, so wasted on me.
This is Sheer Isolation. It's presented by Kieran Moore in Trowbridge and John Ponting in Cricklade.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us yet again. This is Sheer Isolation. I am John in Cricklade and Kieran is at the Trowbridge Tea Factory.
My family collects tea. I collect records. It's a fair deal if you ask me. Even the most expensive tea only costs about £5, and my records cost about 20 quid each. So
this program isn't about tea, although quite frankly, I think it should be. I think we should do a special tea episode, and then we can try them. It'd be rubbish radio just drinking tea, but that sounds like a good day.
Oh, the bouquet on that one. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a really satisfying sup. Yeah, that would be
And that's not a frustratingly annoying noise anyway, is it, when someone's a loud supper of tea and just make an entire show out of it?
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
Anyway.
The ratings would be anyway.
The purpose of this show is to promote the local music and art scene across the west of England, and we do that by playing a couple of tracks and interviewing a very special guest. This week we are being joined by Nick Reed, who I believe is part of the Trowbridge Festival crew.
Yeah, Nick is. So Nick's going to tell us how he got involved with Trowbridge Festival. It's a story that goes way back, and it's lovely because it really does interlink with the Village Pump very nicely, and the people from Trowbridge that really are the movers and shakers, the people that do make things happen. And Nick is very much one of those people that makes things happen in Trowbridge.
Kieran, while we're still warming up, look what I've got here. I've got a wristband used, and I've got a ticket stub from a gig used. I've had a busy week.
You had a busy week. I think we've all had a busy week. Did you go to Bath, the Bath Festival?
I did. I went to see Scouting for Girls, who were weirdly followed by a band called McFly, who I didn't really care for, but Scouting for Girls, brilliant.
You'll be delighted to know that Rob from Cheese and Grain, he went to take his wife, Stevie, to see McFly. They missed the Frank Turner show on Saturday night, and they went to go see McFly instead.
I was going to say, yeah, Frank Turner was playing in his own venue, and he gave that up to go to Bath Festival.
Yeah, well, I wasn't there Saturday night either, so the two promoters for the show weren't even at their own gig on Saturday night.
I'm going to segue from what we were talking about there with Frank Turner playing at the Cheese and Grain in Frome. I believe that nicely links into the first track we're going to play. Yes,
so we like to promote local music. And what's wonderful about this next act is a chap called Sam, and he's got a live persona called Samantics. So that's in Sam Antics, Samantics. And he supported Frank Turner on Frank's latest tour, The Gathering, which is behind me here. And that tour went all across the area, UK, and he played a bunch of dates. And it turns out Sam is actually a Southwest-based musician. I did not know this. So that hence why Sam was on our date. And he kind of does this it's a bit like Kid Carpet, or kind of like the Streets, kind of like Jamie T. There's kind of these hip-hoppy, kind of loopy, beaty, kind of rappy music. It's great fun. And this is a song called The Rock I Grew Up With. I grew up on, should I say. It's the sweetest little video song that, it's just really sweet. It's just such a lovely track.
You're the road that I grew up on. You're the road that gave me shelter. You're the road that gave me comfort. You're the road that made me who I am today. In 1985 I was born upon a rock that I grew up on, and a rock that showed me love, a rock that kept me sheltered, and a rock that taught me trust, the rock that always kept me safe when storms became too rough, a rock that kept me fed, kept me warm and gave me luck, a rock that always knew just how to help when I got stuck, and a rock that kept her patience when I'm sure she'd had enough. This is a rock that I grew up on, a rock I call my mum. I do not feel that I can fit all I want to say into a single set of words to make my true feelings portrayed. But I can do my best and say just some of the things that make you the lady who made me who I am today, for which I'm eternally grateful. You gave me a life that's stable, taught me never to be hateful, showed me love's the only way to make a difference in this crazy world in which you raised me. Although I drove you crazy, you never turned your back on me, you always came to save me. You're the rock that I grew up on, the rock that kept me safe. You're the rock that gave me shelter from the troubles and the rain. You're the rock that gave me comfort when I struggled with the pain. You're the rock that made me who I am today. You're the rock that I grew up on, the rock that kept me safe. You're the rock that gave me shelter from the troubles and the rain. You're the rock that gave me comfort when I struggled with the pain. You're the rock that made me who I am today. You worked so hard to raise us, I was only one of three. You worked your fingers to the bone, ensuring we could eat, have shoes upon our feet and have a house so we could heat. You'd work away for weeks and then return to angry teens who would scream obscenities at you and act like little brats. I can't believe I told you once, I wish you'd not come back. Still haunts me to this day, and yeah, I know it's far from fact. In fact, it was only cause you wanted me to take a bath. That time I got mad and kicked a hole into the wall. When Dad asked what had happened, it was you who took the fall. You knew I was too scared to tell the truth, so you lied and told him that it happened all because of you. When I said I like piano, you quickly got me lessons. You somehow didn't throw me out when I went through adolescence. You'd sit with me in silence when I faced my worst depression, to help ensure my safety when my mental state was threatened. Cause you're the rock that I grew up on, the rock that kept me safe. You're the rock that gave me shelter from the troubles and the rain. You're the rock that gave me comfort when I struggled with the pain. You're the rock that made me who I am today. You're the rock that I grew up on, the rock that kept me safe. You're the rock that gave me shelter from the troubles and the rain. You're the rock that gave me comfort when I struggled with the pain. You're the rock that made me who I am today. So here's to you, Mum, and everything you've done. Here's to putting up with all the times in which we got it wrong. You let us make our own mistakes, for showed us how they make us strong. If ever we were called for help though, you would respond. On the days we derailed, you'd help us back on the track. Now I wish there was a way in which we could get something back, to show you how we appreciate all you've done in the past. There's a few things we can do for you, although they're not vast. We'll fix your laptop when you think it's broken. We'll help you with your emails when they do not seem to open. I'm hoping that this sort of stuff's enough to show devotion. Compared to what you've done for us, these acts are merely tokens. But for all the times you've helped us not to feel alone, we'll download useful apps and all your music to your phone. And when your technical illiterate ways arise, we'll try hard not to moan. Whatever we can do, we'll do, just to try and show you're the mum who's got the luckiest of sons. And we hope you make you proud enough and just how far we've come. We hope you know how much we owe for everything you've done, for shaping us into the individuals we've become. And yes, Mum, you are a little bit nuts, but that's one of the things I love the most. You're funniest, but you're also such a fighter and you never give up. So thank you every single day for always being in our rock. Cause you're the rock that I grew up on, the rock that kept me safe. You're the rock that gave me shelter from the troubles and the rain. You're the rock that gave me comfort when I struggled with the pain. You're the rock that made me who I am today. So thank you, Mum. And just so you know, I only censored this song for you. You're welcome.
So that was Samantics with the track The Rock I Grew Up On. And if you enjoyed that, which I'm sure you did, the delightful news is that Sam will be headlining his own local show in Trowbridge at the Town Hall on Saturday, the 30th of October. The show is going to be brilliant. And I think with the aid of that recent Frank Turner support, have no doubt there'll be a lot of interest in that gig. So if you're interested in live music, you want to come see the wonderful new venue at the Town Hall in Trowbridge, which, by the way, John, I now officially work at the Town Hall in Trowbridge, then please do 30th of October, put it in your diaries. And in the meantime, do look up all the other wonderful events they've got there, because you will see me at most of them.
Do you have any product placement this week?
No, I don't, unfortunately. Not because I've not been buying stuff, just because I've lost track of where everything is and my house is a mess.
In that case, let's move on to our guest for the week. We're being joined by Nick Reed, who's part of the Trowbridge Festival. Before we come on to this, for people who are watching the video feed, you will notice that Kieran all of a sudden magically transports from his house to the back of his car because we recorded this bit while Kieran was on holiday. That's how dedicated we are.
That's exactly it. Well done, John. Cheers for that little caveat there.
Well, it's continuity. People might notice that you don't have a wall of tea bags behind you.
Now in the Wye Valley with the raining and the car window in the background and everything steaming up. Yeah.
That's not why the window's steaming up now. No, come on, let's talk about Nick. Who's Nick?
So Nick is a friend of mine. I met him a couple of years ago, and I worked for him on the Trowbridge Festival's second stage, doing the sound and running that stage. We were really happy with everything, and then sort of we become closer friends since then. And so let's find out about his life and his present and his future.
When I was a young lad, my parents always went along to what was then called the Trowbridge Village Pump Festival. My uncle Dave was one of the original founders of the festival, along with Alan Bryars. So Alan Bryars booked all the music, and my uncle Dave did all the infrastructure, site stuff, site planning, things like that. So from a very young age, you'd probably find me running around in the second half of the 80s with a balloon tied around my wrist in front of the main stage, listening to all sorts of musical acts playing on the stage. And kind of
the balloon was there presumably so that you didn't get lost.
Child protection things might have been a little bit more lax there. So you had a balloon around your wrist, and that's how they'd find you, by identifying the balloon in the distance. Like moving around the main stage area. So yeah,
incredible.
And as I grew up, as I got into my teenage years, I started to help out a bit more from every different level at the festival, to gate stewarding down at Stowford. Later on, moving on to car parks and campsites, helping out some of the original crew there. So I got to know all different members of the crew, and then moving on to things like stage crew. So in the later years of the festival being at Stowford, I was working on the main stage crew for probably about 4 years, I think 4 or 5 years on the main stage crew. So that's how I kind of got involved through family connections. And I do remember.
And that's the festival where it was at Stowford. Then it moved to Westbury, and it's moved back to Stowford.
It's been in a few incarnations, so we say. So the final big festival, which was like a big 8,000 people festival at Stowford that stretched across Stowford Manor Farm and up into Castle Farm, up the hill into Farley Hungerford. The last one there with a big open air stage was in 2010. Then in around 2011, a group of like-minded people got together and had a little weekend celebration in the Lamb in Trowbridge, in the back of the Lamb, in what we would know as the Village Pump Folk Club, or now called Pump, in the little room at the back there. And they had a bit of a small little, what they called the Weekender Festival. People were talking basically about a festival at Westbury. So that's when I basically stuck my head above the parapet, going, look, I've worked in all different levels of the festival at Stowford. I'm sure I can help out here and give some of my knowledge back. So that came to 2012 was a bit. We all moved. The Village Pump Festival was renamed the Village Pump Folk Festival, taking Trowbridge out the name, and we moved over to Westbury for a number of years. First year was brilliant, and then unfortunately attendance started to drop off, and the festival kind of folded and collapsed, and people went their separate ways, and the company was folded and collapsed. But me being me, a bit like-minded, I was thinking, well, we had something good here. What I did is, when the company folded, I bought all the assets to the previous Village Pump Folk Festival, which included a lot of assets from the Stowford years, actually. Too much equipment I didn't need. So my garage was full of all sorts of bits that I'd acquired when I bought basically all the assets off of the festival.
And so what year was that? That was 2000
That was 2016.
16.
So that was after the festival 2016. A group of people then said, well, let's run a little fundraiser. So they ran an event called Prime of the Pump, which was actually Westbury in 2017. just to get a few people together, see what interest was out there. And it was actually a huge success. And it was the whole idea was as a fundraiser towards a larger festival. We started to give ourselves a rebrand. We thought we need to break from the old a little bit, have a fresh start.
You were very, very folk and quite traditional in the past, and with the new festival in 2017 or 18, that was very much a modernisation of a theme.
My personal feeling is we've gone a little bit too down the traditional folk route during the Westbury years, which had kind of led to a decline in numbers. So therefore, I wanted to diversify more on the musical front. I look back at some of the acts that Alan Bryars had booked, and I spoke to a chap called Pete Holbert that had, because Alan Bryars also used to run the Holt Music Festival just outside Trowbridge as well.
Yeah.
And Pete Holbert had kind of taken over the Holt Music Festival for a number of years, and so he'd kind of like had all these this information and the wisdom from Alan Bryars. So I basically met with him, had a little chat and see what his thoughts were. And he kind of passed on a little bit of knowledge and wisdom and about the diversity of the music and when it was successful. So I kind of decided, well, I'll give this a go. I'd never really booked any acts before. So it was a completely new thing to me.
So tell us about the first festival then that you did of your own volition, which was 2018.
So the first festival we did was 2018. So during 2017, we went off and we had to speak to the Bryant family over at Stoford Manor Farm, and we asked them, said, would you like us back? And they said, of course, we missed you. We'd love you. We'd love to have you back. So then I kind of started work on rebranding and generate the new image, the Trowbridge Festival image, buying up things like the old trowbridgefestival.co.uk domain name for the website, so we could host it on the old domain name, and bring it back to Trowbridge, move it back from Westbury to Trowbridge.
Excellent.
So I got to work, when would it have been? Basically, it was a whole year's run up, basically, of the amount of things that go on behind the scenes and organising a festival. You wouldn't believe. Just even things like, supplying water to your campsite. Well, when your festival's been away for 7 or 8 years from the old site, things like water pipes and standpipes get buried in the site. I was out there with dowsing rods with some of the old plumbers trying to find and this was all happening in the winter months on the run up. In the background, I was contacting agencies and artists directly, going around to other events in the local area, and further afield, basically doing a bit of talent spotting, which is what the wisdom that Pete Holbert, he said, just keep going to those gigs, keep listening to it, and you'll find those artists that will be right for the festival, the mix we can put together.
And that weekend, because I came to that weekend, I was there with you, I was running the second stage, and it was an absolutely roaring success, wasn't it?
We were aiming to sell 500-600 tickets. Small little event, that's all we wanted to do, run a little small festival. Wow. When it came to it, after we'd announced the lineup and sold all the tickets, I think just on the week before we'd sold 650 tickets, and weekend tickets, and we thought, brilliant. We've done more than we wanted to. Come the Thursday night when we'd open the campsite midday Thursday. Come Thursday evening, Thursday night, the campsite was full.
Oh,
the campsite was full. Kieran, well, you know this because you came along and helped run you're one of the volunteer crew, helped run one of the stages for us, which was brilliant, worked really well. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like going off to speaking to some of the old guard. We were going off speaking to local farmers, trying to get extra fields. So basically we're almost a victim of our own success. Everybody wanted to come back to the old site. I think I bit off more than I could chew with all the people that turned up. A lot of them were walk-ups. So I've kind of we've learned our lesson from that. We need to sell all the tickets in advance and just have a cut-off date. So a lot of people who'd turn up.
Walk-ups are fine as long as they don't drive.
Yeah, they'd all turn out with cars. A lot of them turned out with camper vans, and they'd all parked in the campsite and filled up our campsite. And then they walked up to go buy their tickets.
Yes.
True numbers start to come through. So after 2018, it was a rip roaring success. The mixture of music was brilliant. Moving forward, we did plan an event for 2019, but that didn't happen mainly due to our success, and the council were just a little bit concerned about the safety aspect of it, and they didn't feel that we had enough time to get everything in place for 2019. So unfortunately, the 2019, even though we had some great artists booked, and Kieran will tell you this because he knew some of the names, we never got, like at least 15 good names on there, never ever got announced for 2019. We had to stop there. And so all those artists that never got announced have all went on the back burner. And we were obviously then looking forward to a July 2020 event. And then unfortunately, the dreaded human malware virus attack, and we had to stop, halt where we were, and the whole festival committee kind of went into hibernation during the various lockdowns we had, and came out of hibernation probably about 6 months ago now, and we basically started planning to look forward to the future, and we're hoping to run an event in 2022. So July.
That'll be July, won't it?
It will be. Yeah, it'll be the end of July 2022 is the plan.
So what are you doing in this year to sort of keep music going in Trowbridge?
So the plans are this year to kind of like build up on the run up to the festival and to do a little bit of fundraising, to run some local gigs in Trowbridge area. At various venues, one of which is we have Peter Knight's Gigspanner Big Band.
Amazing.
It's the big band, so it's Peter Knight heading it up, who used to be in Steeleye Spam, and he with the normal trio lineup, but also we've got the brilliant Hannah Martin and Philip Henry joining him together with John. I call him Squeezebox John. I forget his surname, but
Squeezebox John with him.
He's going to come along as well. So we've got that, and that's planned at the Holy Trinity Church in Trowbridge. That's Thursday, August 26th. Start open at 7:00, and the concert starts at 7:30. So
amazing. If
anybody's listening and haven't got any tickets, you can find the tickets at the Trowbridge Town Hall website, who are our ticket reseller. So pop on there. I think tickets are £21 in advance, and then they'll go up on the door basically. So get in there now if you want to come along, join in the fun, and meet up with some like-minded musical people, listen to some good live music in Trowbridge.
Nick's choice of tune today is Gigspanner, or is Peter Knight's Gigspanner. So as with the Albion band we previously talked about with folk bands, is their lineups change and revolve. And this is so Gigspanner have a pretty solid lineup, but occasionally people like Peter Knight join them. And this incarnation of Gigspanner, this is a track called Death and the Lady.
As I walked out one day, I met an old man all on the way. His head was bald, his beard was grey, his clothing made of the cold earth and clay, his clothing made of the cold earth and clay. I said, old man, what man are you? What country do you belong unto? My name is Death, have you heard of me? All kings and princes bow down unto me, and you fair maid must come along with me. Oh, I'll give you gold and I'll give you pearl, I'll give you costly rich robes to wear, if you will grant me just a little while, and give me time, my life to amend. costly rich robes to wear, and I cannot grant you just a little while, or give you time your life to amend, or give you time your life to amend. In 6 months' time, this young girl died. Let this be on my tombstone, she cried. Here lies a poor, distracted maid, who in her youth she was taken away. Her clothing made of the cold earth and clay.
Let's move on to news, shall we? Because there's plenty to talk about.
I had a lovely chat with Leander, who was a guest on our previous show, about local events and promoting and other organisations and venues and how we're all doing it differently and how all things are doing well and all things are doing bad. And we came across this concept about how shows right now, as in the ones that are happening in August, aren't selling perhaps as well as some of us would have liked. And that is probably because government and everybody else sold it as lockdown's over, go back to normal. And in reality, people are reticent to go back to normal. So what we wanted to do really was to point out that Cheese and Grain spent a lot of money during lockdown to have a wonderful new air conditioning system put in. It was quite expensive. I don't know how much, but it was thousands of pounds. But it does mean that they can turn over the air in a building very, very quickly. You know, within 30 minutes, the whole room has changed its air. So if you're in there singing and whatever, it's all very clean. And that to me, I thought was a really important message to get out there for people who are reticent about going to shows. Pick your shows wisely, but do look up what the venues are doing. And if you're at all afraid, ask the question. Nobody's going to judge you or be judged or be judging. If you're going to choose to wear a mask, that's fine. Bring your hand sanitizer, use it regularly. The venues might even still have hand sanitizer. I know we do in Chippenham. And really, don't be afraid to go out into shows, but do, if you are reticent, do look it up first, ask the question in advance. No one's going to judge you or mock you for wanting to stay safe. But the reality of it is that a lot of shows opened with this whole anti-lockdown where, you know, it's done, it's over. Obviously, it hasn't really gone away. It is still there. And I think it's just a worth talking about, really.
Yeah. No, it's a really valid point. So as we said in the earlier link, I've been to 2 events in the last week. I went to the Bath Festival, which is all outside, and they did you had to either show a negative test result or prove that you've been double jabbed to go in. But, you know, it's a big field, all open. You feel totally safe in there. Compare that to the other venue I've been to, which I won't name, but they didn't do anything wrong. But they just didn't have any COVID checks on the way in. But it was an enclosed hall with very crammed together seating. But again, some people were wearing masks. People had their hand sanitizers. It just felt it felt like the wrong way around, really. That an open air event would be doing all the COVID checks, and the indoor event in an old hall didn't.
And that's why it's interesting, because the indoor, right at this moment in time, you don't need to do anything. There is no legal requirement for you to do anything. And at the Nield on Saturday, we had a full house for Jive Talking, and it was our usual tiered seating, and everyone was shoulder to shoulder. We did have the air conditioning on, and we were trying to circulate the air and clean it. But ultimately, it was mask in the bar and hand sanitizer. But we saw it, and it was really well attended, and the people that came loved it. So this is it. We're all individuals, and we're all dealing with this individually, and all got slightly different methods of taking risk or judging risk or making those decisions on how best suits your life. Really, just ask the question. And if you're happy to go out to a show, go out and enjoy a show.
We're going to have to wrap up then, Kieran. Thank you for joining me from
Lovely.
both your home and the back of your car. Another podcast first for us. Don't forget you can email us, which is sheerisolation@gmail.com. You can find all the videos we've ever made on YouTube, and you can also find audio versions on Spotify and Apple and Pocket Cast and all the other places. Kieran, thank you very much for joining me. I will let you enjoy your holiday.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure, John. Never a chore.
You say it so much, it just sounds like a chore now, but I'll take it. Thank you, mate. See you next week.
Cheers, man. Bye. And podcast done.
Yes.